While the Big Brother 24 cast was finally revealed a day before the show starts, so not a lot of time to assess this cast, but I still wanted to give my first impressions. Hopefully people learned last year from my coverage that I like to call it as I see it. I don't listen to Twitter, I don't listen to Reddit, because mostly they're wrong so many times more often than not. So I gotta form my own opinions, and they could be pretty accurate as I analyze the game, and sometimes more importantly, analyze the players. So if you are new to the channel, I don't hold a lot back when it comes to the players and the games they play. Everybody's favorites, I'm gonna just, like Tiffany last season, she was vastly overrated by the end. She started off well, but her game unraveled before jury even started. And I called that shit out, and it was highly accurate. So I'm hoping to be able to do that again this year. Unlike last season, though, I'm not going to be able to do every single day of the live feeds because last year I didn't have 2 jobs, and this year I do. So who has the time? But I will do my best to cover the feeds when I can. But let's get to the cast. It's kind of underwhelming. It's an underwhelming cast, giving me a bit of a Big Brother Canada 10 cast vibes, which for me wasn't good. I did not like that cast a lot at all, I know. And before the people in the comments talk about Big Brother Canada 10, go back to your Reddit echo chambers. I don't want to hear it. The season was subpar and not great. Nor was the winner. Very overrated. I'm going to be doing this my least favorite to favorite on first impressions. My cop-out is that this does not mean my favorites are going to win the game, because I don't have a lot to go off of. Although my number one favorite, I do think, has the best shot at winning the game, judging by all we're seeing from these pre-game interviews and whatnot. But my last place, my least favorite to start, is Alyssa Snyder, because she gave a whole lot of nothing in her interviews. I'm reading nothing from Alyssa because her interviews she was just talking just to talk. I don't find a lot of substance to her, and she's one of these many players on the cast that wants to go with the house rather than try and flip some votes. So she's giving boring. Overall, I don't have a lot to say from Alyssa. However, I do think she is giving the type that gets far because she coasts into the jury and then goes probably early jury. I can see her going late pre-jury, but she's the type that either goes very late pre-jury, like right before the pre-jury, or she's able to coast her way because she's in some big alliance, or she's at the bottom of a big alliance, or she's in a showmance. She will coast her way into the jury, but probably get cut fairly early. That's the vibes I get from her. We are going to move on to Jasmine Davis. This is the one that sounds like Paula Deen. She's 29. She's also low on my favorites list of this first impressions because she also didn't give a whole lot. She seems like she wants to be nice, and at least she's self-aware. I will say that about Jasmine. She comes off self-aware because she knows what first impression she's going to give. She's either going to give Southern Belle or like dumb hillbilly. Those were the vibes I got from her video interview. But in her written interviews, at least she sounded more self-aware. So I might be underrating her out the gate. But like I said, these are not my people I think are going to go far to win. These are just my least faves to faves by my first impressions, and if I think I'm going to like them or not. Although last season I was very wrong. I thought I was going to completely hate Brittney and that she was going to be super annoying. And by the end, she was one of the least annoying people, quite frankly. Next on the cast is Kyle Kapaner. He's 29. He's semi-big on TikTok. I don't really care about TikTok. My main thing here is they have casted another Kyle after BB Can has casted 3 different Kyles, and all 3 of them were super problematic. And according to Twitter, but Twitter goes too far. And I'm not going to base my judgment until I actually see them in the game and see them on the feeds and if they're actually terrible people. But according to Twitter, Kyle does have some possibilities of being terrible. But who knows? It's Twitter. They blow everything out of proportion. But his name is Kyle, and he is on a Big Brother franchise. So odds are he might be terrible. But let's hope not. Kyle comes off as someone that wants to be in a big alliance. But what I found most interesting from Kyle is that he's talking about like he wants to be in a big alliance, but he doesn't want there to be this strong leader who's trying to dictate everything because that he might clash with that person, which is leading me to believe he wants to be that person that's leading an alliance. Because if he's going to clash with the person trying to lead, that kind of means you want to be the leader. In these same interviews, he's talking about how he's chill, but I think this contradicts what he's saying earlier about how he's going to be clashing with people who are trying to dictate his game. I don't know if Kyle is self-aware. I think Kyle might be trying to be the leader while thinking he's chill this whole time. It could work. It always has worked for players like Kyle who want to be the big alpha male. He's probably going to be athletic, good in physical challenges. So I think Kyle is the old kind of Big Brother archetype that gets far in a game, so he very well could do that. But if he's not self-aware, that could screw him in the end to either get voted out late or lose a jury vote. So we'll see what comes from this Kyle on a Big Brother franchise, and if he is another long line of Kyles being problematic on Big Brother shows. Next up is Brittney Hoops Bangs McGee. When I first started watching her video interviews, I thought I was going to like her. She seemed like she knows the game extremely well. I think she's going to play hard. I think she's going to be able to figure out the dynamics of the game, maybe. But the more I watched from her, the more annoying she got. I think she can be very annoying. I mean, not to pick on her physical appearance, but she has crazy eyes. And that's kind of the energy she eventually gave in her video interviews, though, is that she is like, she has some Karen energy to her. I can possibly feel she's going to play that the white tears victimhood if she can. She's giving me a vibe of somebody on BB10 I did not like at all. But hopefully that's just not the case. I think she's going to be pushy in her social game also, which could backfire on her. But I really think she knows Big Brother and she's here to play. I see her going one of two ways. She's either going to slay this game, she's going to be able to make connections, and she's going to be able to get very far because of that, because she understands the game and she has a good social game. Or her social game is going to be kind of cringy and she's going to end up not with a lot of allies and she's going to burn out quick. So she's giving me one of those super fans that has the possibility of burning out quick, even though she understands the game. But we'll see what she brings. Hopefully she's not as annoying as I think she could be. Ironically, the Brittney last season is also the one I thought was going to be annoying, and she wasn't. So maybe I'll be proven wrong there. Again, 2 seasons in a row. I do hope that is the case. I don't want her to be annoying. All right, up next is Monty Taylor, who is 27. Very low on my list of faves because he's giving boring for sure. He wants to stay out of drama. He wants to be chill in a big alliance. This man basically wants to be Xavier 2.0, and he very well could be that. I mean, what are the odds we see the same archetype of player win back-to-back seasons? I mean, we kind of did already with Cody and Xavier, to be honest. But yeah, he wants to go with an alliance all summer till the bitter end. Probably going to have a duo with somebody. I see people speculating that it's going to be Marvin, but we'll see if that's the case. I don't know what's going to come of last season with the cookout, if that's going to give the white players an excuse to start a race war like Big Brother Canada 10, but we'll see. One thing Monty said in his interview that I think could blow up in his face is he doesn't want people in his alliance that are too chatty and will say too much. It's one thing I've learned from recording a lot of games online and from watching a lot of Big Brother feeds is that people will always talk. Things always get out. So, yeah, Monty, you don't want people in your alliance that talk too much or talk too much to outsiders. Good luck with that. People talk. All right, up next is Matt Turner. Whew, this guy might be the most interesting person right now. Twitter blew up for Matt Turner because his sister got online and started talking shit about him, and how he's a terrible person, bringing up some rather bad shit that he may or may not have done, saying he manipulated their mother. But then Twitter went and found old tweets from his sister and canceled her. So, who knows? Who knows? It just seems like a very volatile family. And I think Matt Turner is going to be a volatile player, for better or for worse. Now, the easy thing with Matt could be to talk about his hair, because it's pretty bad hair. It looks like 2 different haircuts in one. It's very weird looking. But he comes off as the guy who just really wants to stand out. He seems like one of those people that really wants attention at all costs. I don't like those kinds of people, honestly, that just really will do whatever they have to do to stand out and seem like they're important. That's his hair vibe he's giving me. It is bad hair. But the thing about it is, the gag is, as the kids would say, it's not even the worst hair on the cast. So, we'll get to that. And some of you might be watching this thinking, how can this guy who always needs a haircut be talking shit about people's hair? And I say touche. But I'm still going to talk about the hair regardless of how badly I always need a haircut. I'm probably going to get one until mid-season. Now, if what Matt's sister said about Matt on Twitter is half true, that he manipulated their mom, well, he might just be damn good at this game. And in some of his interviews, he says he wants to run the game. I don't know if he's going to have that personality to run the game. He's also only 23, one of the youngest on the cast. But I did like a lot of his answers, that he's playing for himself, and he would flip the votes because he's playing for himself. So we will just have to see what kind of character this guy is. If he's just somebody who's trying too hard to be different, But if he actually is a character and he actually comes to play, that will be fun to watch. Matt seems like a scammer, one way or another. I think this guy is a scammer, and I think that could translate to him being good at this game. Either way, I think Matt Turner's game is going to be a mess. I just hope it's a good mess and not a bad mess, aka the only kind of mess Big Brother's been able to do for the past decade, which is only having racism, and that's just bad mess. So I'm hoping that's not the case with Matt here, even though his sister said a few things that are questionable, but then her two got canceled. But we'll see what kind of mess Matt brings. I think there's going to be a mess of some kind. All right, up next is Nicole Layog. This is the ex-cop. She's also 41, so she is the oldest woman on the cast. She hopes to be a comp beast, and I think she's going to need to be a comp beast because of her age. She's also giving me the vibe that she wants to go with an alliance until the end game. So I honestly feel like I should have her lower on my list of faves. But there's just a lot of people like, say, Kyle, for instance, who the odds are he's going to rub me the wrong way. I feel like Kyle's going to be the person who's going to be the Kyle of BB Can 10, and really, well, I guess Marty too, and want to say that all the black people are working together even if they're not this season because of the cookout last season. It's an easy excuse to make. That's the vibe Kyle gives me. There's also Alyssa and Jasmine that gave me nothing. So I think Nicole's just ahead of some of the other players because I do think she's going to be more likable. But I think the odds are she could be outcasted from this cast. I hope that's not the case. but I do think it's possible. All right, up next is Joe Pooch Pucciarelli. You know, Big Brother US, they always want to find some Italian player. Pooch looks like Satan. Look at this guy. If this guy was casted on a TV show, he would be if Satan took the form of a person. And maybe I've just watched too much Days of Our Lives over the past year where they brought back their iconic 90s storyline of a possession. But that's the vibe Pooch is giving me. That he looks a little evil. I would be down to see him play a little evil if it's the good kind of mess. Now, as a fellow Italian, but I ain't from the Northeast, I ain't one of those Northeast Italians. It's funny, if you ever go find a map of Italians in America, you'll see where I was born and raised was southern Colorado. On that Italian map of America, you see all these the red in the Northeast, but then randomly there's this one county in southern Colorado with a bunch of Italians, and that's where I'm from. But I feel like where I'm from, we're a little more modest compared to the Northeast Italians. So we'll see. This guy seems like he could be modest, honestly, even though he looks like Satan. But we'll see. We'll see what Joe Pooch brings. I hope Pooch doesn't let me down like Brent last season. Brent was a creep, and he was really dumb. But I do like the game that Joe says he's gonna play. He wants to be able to flip votes because he is playing his own game. I think he is here to play, and I think he has one of the best odds of winning, if we're being honest. I think will also be a comp beast when it comes to the physical challenges. Like, we have Kyle, we have Monty, we have Marvin, but I think Joe might be the dark horse when it comes to physical comps and winning them. So I want to like Joe Pucciarelli, maybe because of Italian vibes. But I have to wait and see. I have to see him play for the first week to see if he's annoying or not, to see if I can root for this guy. But we'll see. Now, Amira Jones is next. She's 31. She is also somebody I wanted to have higher in my my least fave to fave rankings. But she said something about how she wants to throw comps, and a lot of these players are saying they want to throw comps if need be. There is a time and a place to throw comps, and I'm going to do a quick plug for my org that's coming in late summer or early fall based on Big Brother. I threw in a twist that I tried to help with throwing comps, even though it was low key and nobody really knew about it. But we'll see when that airs that didn't even work. People like to throw comps when they feel like they need to throw comps, but it's just not best for some people. And I think it's not best for women players to throw comps in Big Brother, seeing as they always get left in the dust in the end game. So women, you need to win comps in Big Brother if you can. Don't go throwing them. So that kind of turned me off of Amira. But I think she's very, very smart. And I think she's going to be able to think about a lot of scenarios in this game. Now, could that make her paranoid? Yes. Could that make her overplay? Yes. I mean, similar to Tiffany last season, she had all the smarts in the world about what was going on in the game and setting herself up, but then she overplayed. Hopefully Amira doesn't do that, because I think she is going to be able to think about all angles. But I need to see her social game. I don't know what her social game is going to be like. I think that could be her negative point. She says she's very straightforward. That could go either way. I honestly feel like straightforward in these games is underrated. I think that actually helps people for a long while. But there comes a point where it could not help them. So we'll see what comes of Amira. I'm interested to see her play. I need to see her social game because I think she has the smarts to develop very far in this game if she doesn't throw the wrong challenge. Marvin Achai, I don't know how to say his last name. He's 28. He's a Nigerian immigrant. Another very smart player. I think Marvin has a lot going for him. I think he's going to be a physical comp threat. I think he's actually going to be an intelligent comp threat. I think Marvin has a lot of low-key ability to scheme is what I'm getting from him. But I think what could be a negative is that he could be trying to control an alliance too much. Marvin gives like the type who wants to be a leader in an alliance, which could always be a bad thing in Big Brother if you don't have the stronghold on the alliance. You know, we saw Cody in All Stars, but that was a pregame alliance, so I don't really even like to talk about it or count it as an alliance. Xavier last season in the Cookout was a leader of an alliance, but he was very low key. He was more like the under the radar glue that held the alliance together, whereas Tiffany, Kyland, and Delirious Big D thought they were running the alliance. So I think Marvin, his negative could be that he may be too controlling, but I like that he wants to play his own game a lot as well. So we'll see what comes of Marvin. He is a threat in this game, I think. Up next is Daniel Durston. This man has the worst hair in the cast. It isn't Matt. It is Daniel. This burnt hair he has coming in here, not great. But his ramen noodle hair aside, I think he is going to bring a lot to the table. This man is a super fan. He's been watching Big Brother since season 1 when he was a kid. He watches Big Brother Canada. He knows the game through and through. But as we see with superfans, do they play smart or do they burn out? It can always go either way. I liked one of his quotes that he waited too long to play someone else's game, so he's here to play hardcore, play the game hardcore. And there's a lot of people in my top 6 that want to play the game hardcore, but they seem to be the only 6 that want to play the game hardcore. So hopefully some of this top 6 connects. Well, actually, there's somebody in my top 6 that doesn't want to play. So there's really only 5 people that want to play a hardcore game. Although you could say Matt and Pooch want to as well. But Daniel brought up a lot of good points in his interviews. He understands the game. He understands that the HOH's power is over after veto. And that the HOH stops running the game after veto. So the HOH can want someone out on the block, but you can always ruin the HOH's HOH. So interested to see Daniel play. I think he's going to be a very fun player to watch. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Daniel. Despite his hair. I know some people get mad when I talk shit about people's appearances, but I mean, it's all in fun. I ain't saying anything that mean. And he's high in my rankings of least fave to fave, so don't be sensitive. All right, up next is Terrence Higgins, 47, the oldest guy on the cast. He knows what he's getting into, but like all old players, surviving just the first round is difficult. So if he could get past the first round, this was a worry of Tiffany last season. She was the oldest, and we were worried that she wasn't going to make it far because of that, but she never told her age. And that's something I think Nicole Layog needs to do as well. I don't know if Terrence can get away with not saying his age. I think he could say a little younger. Maybe he could pass for early 40s at best. But if he gets past that, Terrence is ready to flip on an alliance. A lot of these people's answers were that in the end game, that's when you could flip on an alliance. But I think Terrence understands that you can't flip too late, or else you're just going to get picked off if you're at the bottom of the alliance. And I think Terrence would be somebody that would be on the bottom of the alliance because of his age. So since Terrence understands that, I have some higher hopes for him if he makes it past the first 2 rounds. But I like Terrence, and we'll see what he brings to the table. Up next, Paloma Aguilar. She's the youngest. She's 22. She's probably too high in my faves list because she gave a lot of answers I don't like. She wants to go with the house was the main thing. But I think it's going to be her social game that's going to determine a lot. That's going to make or break her. I also think Paloma is going to be one of the girls that are going to have some pretty privilege in this game, which can go well for women in this game up to a certain point. I think her age is going to be her downfall. She might not have enough substance to go with that pretty privilege to really be able to, one, maneuver in this game, but also have those strong connections that go far and run deep. But I liked her. I liked a lot of her answers. outside of the weaker ones that she wants to go with the house and be a boring ass player. Or maybe I just like her because of her pretty privilege. I don't know. But we'll see what Paloma brings to the table. Up next, rounding out my top 3 least fave to faves, is Indy Santos. She's a Brazilian immigrant. I liked her a lot. I liked her answers. Now, I gotta say, on both Survivor and Big Brother, a strong accent is a detriment to players' games. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. This is America, and I feel like people with strong accents in the games have a harder time making those strong connections because of the barrier of English. The same kind of goes for Marvin. He has a bit of an accent, but I think Indy's is stronger. I hope that isn't detrimental to their game, but honestly, I feel like it can be. But I like her a lot. Some of the Brazilian women I know that are Brazilian immigrants, very nice people. And she comes off very nice as well, maybe with too many morals for this game, but we'll see. Another thing about Brazilian women, though, that I know, is that they like the tea. They want to hear the tea. They are very nice people, but they want to hear the tea about you. So we'll see if Indy gets into a little drama because of that, but we'll see. She's very nice, but I feel like she might be too nice and not be able to make moves that she will need to in the game because she wants to stay loyal. Can't be too loyal to some of these players. Up next, Taylor Hill, the bombshell of the cast. Definitely the hottest cast member. She's 27 though. She'll also have pretty privilege like Paloma, which could mean showmance, but she said in one of her interviews she knows that a lot of people are going to think she's just there for a showmance, although she didn't deny that she is. But she gave a lot of great answers. She's new to Big Brother because of the cookout, because of season 23 and the diversity, which is something Big Brother has needed for so long that I'm glad they finally got it. But she went back and binged a lot of seasons. She knew why Danielle Reyes lost her season because the jury got to see fucking confessionals, which was stupid in the first place. She wants to play like Danielle Reyes. We'll see. But I think Taylor is right in a lot of her answers. She has charm and wit. She also has the looks. She didn't talk about that, but she does. I think that she has the combination to go far in this game. But because of that combination, she's also going to grow her target in this game, possibly very early. So she might have to do some dodging and weaving in this game if she's going to make it far because of that. But I loved how hardcore she was in this interview. She's here to play hardcore. She wants this to be a hardcore season. But unfortunately for Taylor, a lot of these castmates don't feel like they're here to play hardcore. They feel like they're here to play safe, boring Big Brother. Safe, modern, boring Big Brother. So I think that could hurt Taylor if she wants to play hardcore and the rest of the cast ain't really on board to play that way. And that leaves number 1. Both my fave, and I think possibly the fave to win, and that is Michael Bruner, who's 28, hardcore super fan, knows a lot about the game. He's an org player, which is always nice to me. Love our orgs here on this channel because I run some. He says he could be intense because he's very competitive. That can be bad, but I think that he comes off as like a well-rounded player, maybe outside of physical comps. He's very tall but lanky. He's willing to flip votes. I think he's another one that would play hardcore. I don't know. My preseason vibe after my first impressions are that Michael Bruner, at least on initial vibing, has the best shot to win this game. But I also liked his personality. I also like his strategic talk. I like what he's bringing. I think it would be very interesting if Taylor and Michael became a duo. I feel like they might need to because if they're both here to play intense and hardcore, there's not a lot of other people like that in the cast willing to play that way. And that could just make them threats off the bat. But if two minds could come together to play that way, that would be, I think they could maybe be a terror, at least for a while. And since Taylor wants to play like Daniel Reyes, maybe Michael could be your Jason. So, very interested by those two. Those were by far my two favorites. I don't know when my first feeds video will be. I know feeds start soon after the first episode, but I have a lot of shit to do on Thursday. So we will see what comes of this. I'm interested to see this cast play. It's always exciting to see, even if the cast is overall kind of underwhelming to me, because it seems like a lot of people that just want to play it safe and boring. But I hope we get some mess. Good mess, though. Not bad mess.